Hi, this is Larry Hatch, and this video is entitled Gout Cures That Actually Work from 5 years of personal experience. There's probably 500 gout videos out there. If you count websites, there's certainly over 1,000. I probably read and saw most of them. This is not an abstracting or summarizing those. I'm not compiling, I'm not copying other people. This is not something that's one of those derivative medical sites with a fake robot voice, and it sounds an awful lot like the Mayo Clinic, maybe. Anyway, my approach is going to be different here. First off, I'm not a doctor, but I've had more biochemistry, more nutrition, and more human genetics at the graduate level than it takes to get through medical school. Just saying that. My approach is the gout cure has to be practical, and I've tested all of these, available, not something that only one person sells for $79 for 12 pills, and it has to be affordable. Again, it's not something stupid. I saw a doctor's video the other day. He says, well, you need to freshly squeeze 8 ounces of celery juice and drink it 4 times a day. Each one has to be freshly squeezed. Am I going to freshly squeeze celery juice 4 times a day and drink 32 ounces of it? That's stupid. Stupid. Another doctor, supposedly, said, well, here's a analgesic cure that you should rub vigorously on your gout joints. I was like, does this guy ever have gout? Or does he even know anybody who's had gout? You're not rubbing some kind of potion on your gout joints. Just the little touch of a bed cover or a sock will cause excruciating pain. You're not rubbing some gout cure on your joints. My God. Such idiots. And I'll be honest with you, 99% of doctors on YouTube have not had gout. If they've had patients, they're getting it secondhand. I'm a gout patient for more than 5 years, and I've tried everything, spent hundreds of dollars. I know what the mind-numbing 10 out of 10 pain is, the tear-inducing torture. I understand, guys. I really understand. And I know what it is to scream when you have gout and hit your big toe or knee or elbow the wrong way. One day I got out of bed. I didn't realize that my toe was gouty that day because it happened overnight. And I jumped out of bed, one of these beds that's raised a little bit. So it was about 3 feet. I landed on my right foot and I cried like a baby and cursed my head off. Oh my God, I think I woke up the whole house. And I literally had tears in my eyes involuntarily. The pain was so freaking intense. And this video is written for those that understand that. A woman told me that childbirth is a 10 on the pain scale, and gout is a 9, possibly a 10 for her. So I've never had a baby, so I'll take that secondhand. This video is for all of us who have missed events, places we wanted to go, things we wanted to see, people we wanted to meet and couldn't, trips we had to cancel, sometimes at expense, being trapped at home. I understand what that's like. And I had a falling down and can't get up moment. I had gout in my knee, so I went to bed and tried to get up a little briskly like you might in the morning. Stupid. I fell, smashed up my other knee until the kneecap was filled with fluid. I could feel it squishing around in there. So I had 2 bad knees and I could not walk. I was trapped on the floor for 8 hours. And I just said, help me, Jesus. Because my phone was about 40 feet away in another room. I tried to crawl to get my phone. I was home alone at the time. My neighbors wouldn't hear me if I shouted. I see that's why they have those pendants now. I got one for my mother years ago. But I was literally 40 feet from my phone, um, and I was stuck on the floor for 8 hours. I eventually crawled up on the sofa, um, and slept the night. Fortunately, I had some food nearby, and the next morning I kind of hobbled around with help of my camera tripod. Anyway, another thing that's different about this video is that we're going to cite clinical papers from the National Institutes of Health. The NIH is the most prestigious, respected medical research facility. It's in Washington, D.C., I think Bethesda, I believe it is, in the country, if not the world. It's one of the top. The NIH is one of the top places. And they have cited and published, fortunately for all our benefit, a number of papers on gout, well, thousands in all. A lot of these doctors even say, oh, there's some evidence, there's no evidence, there's mixed evidence. Well, I'm an adult. Show it to me. Tell me. If you have a college degree, you can get through these papers pretty easy. If you know a little biology, a little chemistry, it's duck soup, And, we're adults. Give us the papers. We'll read them. Even if you just read the abstract, the summary at the beginning, you'll get something from that. My experience is 5 years, and it was kind of induced by Lasix and a love of beer. And that gave me uric acid out the yin-yang. There were days of pain, and I've spent hundreds of dollars on all kinds of things. God, I think Amazon was dropping off uric acid cures at my door like every other day. That's an exaggeration, but it's close. I do want to say we are all different. No one plan fits everybody, so please take my suggestions and my experience and experiment a little bit healthfully with your doctor's approval if necessary. Safely, not too extreme, and find out what works for you. We all have different genetics, cultural foods, our physiologies are different due to age in males and females. We have different medical regimes, what pills we're on. We have different body sizes, body types, weights, backgrounds. We're all different. So, again, what's going to work for you might be slightly different than what works for me. So I'm going to aim on the basic physiology of the situation. The first one I want to get into is the popular so-called miracle cure, cherry juice. Okay? And everybody talks about that. Nobody seems to understand it or explain it. It is not a magical mystery cure. There is no special compound that's been isolated that's unique to cherries that makes them work any better than anything else. The two things that cherries and cherry juice has that we know works is anthocyanins. That's the dark pigment that makes blueberries blue and cherries dark red and that sort of thing. Same thing that makes the trees in the fall turn colors. Anthocyanins are very effective against uric acid and a lot of other things. We won't get into that here. And cherries are loaded full of vitamin C. So the two major chemical groups that are good in cherries are the anthocyanins, the dark pigments, and the vitamin C. I was spending $12 to $20 on juice to get some relief. The first time I did it, I drank 2 of those big expensive jugs of cherry juice. One of them was equivalent to eating 200 cherries, and I got some pretty good relief. The second time, much less so. But there was a problem. These cherry juices, in order to be drinkable, have to be loaded full of sugar, natural sugars, sugars from the cherry juice itself. And of course, sugar is the most powerful thing, besides ethanol, to create uric acid. So when you get cherry juice, you're getting anthocyanins, the C, but you're also getting the sugar, which maybe puts you a couple steps ahead, but one step back. The cost of the cherry juice I found to be prohibitive, and I even sat sometimes with a bag of cherries and tried to pit them. That's a freaking nightmare. The next approach I took was one I did learn online from somebody, and I was a bit skeptical at first. I did read that vitamin C, which is normally ascorbic acid, sorry, is a uric acid purging agent. There's a couple of chemical words for it, but I'll spare us. C is proven by research to reduce uric acid and gives you the ability to purge it out of your system. It works, it's very affordable, it's practical with water. I used to use chewable vitamin C at first, but then I found out that that can be not as well absorbed like most of the pills. So now I use liposomal C, and that gives very high absorption. Go to eBay or Amazon, buy a huge jar of it. It's not that expensive. I think I paid like $12, $17 for these jars I have here. What you do is you take 1,000 milligrams, not those little gummy bears which are worthless. Take 1,000 milligrams with 16 to 18 ounces of water every 4 hours, and do that 4 times a day for 2 or 3 days. Probably by the second day, if not the next morning, you will find some relief, most likely. I've never had this let me down. I'll admit it is hard sometimes to drink that much water, but do it. Vitamin C is proven, and the reason you need the water is if you're dehydrated and aren't urinating enough, the vitamin C and the uric acid byproducts are not going anywhere. You need the water to propel them out of your system. We all know how that works. The next thing that I strongly recommend is magnesium. The ordinary grocery store stuff is crap. You have to get the chelated forms because they're absorbed better and they're more effective. And 2 of the forms that are good are magnesium bisglycinate or magnesium malate. The malate is the one I get. It's usually more affordable. Again, a huge bottle of it for, I don't know, $12, $15, lasts you forever. I don't take it all the time. I do because I have a heart condition. That's another thing. It benefits that as well. But I ramp up the magnesium to the max dose 2 or 3 times a week if I see early symptoms or flare-up coming on. And that I have not tried magnesium on its own, but we do know from research that maintains a better uric acid balance. Another thing that is widely talked about is pineapple, mainly the enzyme bromelain. Bromelain reduces inflammation big time. It's pretty an amazing thing. And this would probably be a good point for me to give out the information that some doctors have found who study this, particularly orthopedists who deal with joints, that it's not so much the uric acid, it's the uric acid plus the inflammation. Get that. It's not the uric acid, it's the uric acid plus inflammation. One study said that 91% of people with high uric acid don't get gout. I know I probably had high uric acid when I was young. Didn't have a bit of gout till I turned 55. They've also done studies where they actually tap the joint, including the spinal fluid and the joint fluid, and even people with lots of uric acid crystals in their joints don't have gout because it's not putting pressure on things. If you have the inflammation, those uric acid crystals are driven like nails, sorry to be so vivid, into your muscles, your bone even, and can damage them, and so on. So it's the inflammation that's driving those uric acid crystals and causing the pain. Canned pineapple, unfortunately, has the bromelain cooked out of it. Otherwise, I'd have cans out the top of my kitchen. Raw pineapple is the only one that has the active bromelain to reduce inflammation. First time I did it, I ate 1.5 pineapples over 3 days. Nothing happened. Second time, a little relief, not enough to really be pain free. And I kind of thought about it, and I said, well, geez, pineapple's pretty sweet. At least the stuff I had. Maybe if you get it when it's kind of not ripened, maybe it's got less sugar. But the huge amount of sugar in raw pineapple feeds uric acid production and probably counteracted a lot of those good effects. So I prefer the pill form of bromelain. And currently I like Doctor's Best Digestive Enzymes, which has 6 enzymes, including a lot of bromelain. You can get bromelain pills on their own too. Also, the digestive enzymes improve your gut health, which some people have suggested. Again, I don't have evidence on that. That gut health can reduce gout flare-ups. Some people do associate their gout with digestive concerns, but that's anecdotal. The next item I want to talk about is celery. That's kind of new on the gout front recently. Again, I'm not going to be like that doctor who wants you to juice celery and drink it 4 times a day. That's stupid. That's really dumb. I think he must work for like the Celery Farmers of America or something like that. I don't know. Anyway, the extract of the seed works very well. I take 2 capsules a day when there's a flare-up or early symptoms, and along with my vitamin C and water program, that works very well. Celery is very potent in getting rid of uric acid. So again, I try to do a combination of these 2, 3, 4 of these just to really kind of hedge my bets. Not exactly sure what my physiology is because I don't have $300 to test all my blood. So again, I do the C, the water, different things, and try to do that. I do have to say there is a time when you go with prescription stuff and doctors, prescription steroids. There's a number of them out there that they'll give you. I had an elbow that was so bad they literally injected steroids directly into it, and boy, I got relief before I left the doctor's office. That was amazing stuff. Those work super fast, and they'll last you for days, if not months, weeks, I should say. You can only get them from a doctor because you need a prescription. And I've only done this once because the pain was too severe and was limiting my ability to walk and type and function and earn a living. So, hey, when you're starting to talk about losing work time, money, helping out your coworkers at work, go with the strong stuff, the potent option. I've had people say that, well, their doctor gave them an emergency flare-up dose of steroid pills. I have not been able to find a doctor who does that. They all want you to come visit them. And for me, that's a $200 urgent care visit that for whatever reason my lovely Blue Cross Anthem insurance does not seem to find important. Yeah, I can't work. I can't barely drive. I can hardly walk. And yet they're not covering that. Well, that's nice. So if you can find a doctor who'll give you maybe 5 or 10 pills for an emergency flare-up situation, have those on hand. Again, for me, $200 per event or flare-up is not practical, but it's on the back of my mind if the torture gets too bad. And usually they'll give you a shot at your joint of most pain at the time, and then pills to keep it good for a while. So keep that in mind. You always got that option to fall back on. Another big herb that's popular these days for gout is turmeric, and mostly the active ingredient curcumin. God, I can never say that. I had discovered it by buying pills that were standardized, but they tended to be expensive. I was paying like $22 a bottle, even online, and you have to take like 3 or 4 of those a day, sometimes even more. And I was getting some relief, mostly the inflammation. I was getting like what I call dino foot, where my whole foot was swelling up because the big toe was purple. That was not good. It kind of scared me, actually. Could barely get some of my shoes on. Um, so I was looking for an alternative, and I said, well, I can just get some cheap spices, from the spice rack. Oh, sometimes those are $6 a bottle. Well, I just happened to find like I can't remember if it was Aldi or Lidl, but they had turmeric in a bottle for $2. So I bought some pills and made them up. What I found out is they're not concentrated like the standardized commercial pills are, so they weren't so good. So a lot of supermarkets have the raw root itself, and I said, God, the raw thing, not dried out, not boiled or baked or processed, is probably going to be strong, and it's actually pretty cheap. You can get a nice little bag of it for $3 or $4. I had one store couldn't figure out how to price it, so they gave me this huge mass for $1.59. That lasted me like half a year. And they have these small little worm-like roots. They look like grubs. And I cut up 1 or 2 of those per day and make these little slivers, and just pop them like pills with my water and vitamin C regime. Um, Usually with a meal, because turmeric can upset sometimes people's stomach. I know some people actually peel them like carrots. You can do that. They have a tough outer coating to the tuberous root. Actually, it might be a rhizome, technically. You can do that, but I always thought that you were peeling off a lot of the good stuff. Although you can make tea out of that, shavings as well. So anyway, I just take the little slivers like they're pills, and it's a very potent anti-inflammatory agent. And again, remember, it's not just the uric acid; it's the uric acid plus inflammation that's driving those nasty little crystals into your nerves and such. So anyway, try that. Here's the big one that always people say, "Oh, this is the only way to get rid of gout instantly and overnight." Baking soda in water. Again, you got to dissolve it thoroughly, because God knows you don't want to be drinking it raw. Um, Baking soda does not lower blood acidity as some people claim. That's totally impossible. It's a good thing too, by God. And if you ever watched any of those movies, I think there's 2 of them called Salt, and it's about killing people with 20 teaspoons of salt. It doesn't take a lot of sodium to screw up a human body, and you don't want to do that. I hear about people taking a tablespoon of baking soda, sodium bicarbonate, in a glass of water 5 times a day. That's asking for trouble. If you're a heart patient and have high blood pressure, it gives you a sodium punch, so you want to really watch the baking soda. There's several severe conditions that can cause by regularly drinking baking soda, especially to excess. Um, and some of those send people to the ER. I know in California they studied like 100 people that went to the ER from drinking too much baking soda. My question is it really the sodium bicarbonate doing the trick? Or is it those 4 to 6 glasses of water that are helping you flush out the uric acid? And for me, I'd rather go with vitamin C and water than baking soda and water at this point. Occasionally, I will take half a teaspoon, a very small amount, in water, 2 glasses a day, if I have a severe flare-up. Um, Again, that's an old habit. The first time I did the baking soda thing, it did work. I was feeling better the next day. But again, was it just those 8 glasses of water flushing it out and hydrating me? It's really hard to say. And here's the one that really got to me. I'm a craft beer nut, and I have a website called brew-base.com with about 4,000 reviews of beer. And I've consumed and reviewed over 3,800 kinds of craft beer. So it's kind of a business of mine and a major hobby over 35 years to review and rate the best beers. I just cannot give that stuff up. I mean, I would if it was life-threatening. So here's my take on it. Beer is one of the worst things for gout. The ethanol turns into uric acid big time. The purines, especially in well-made craft beer, higher than Budweiser and Coors by a mile. If you have yeast in the bottom, as you know, a good Hefeweizen or unfiltered IPA's got lots of yeast. That's a third thing about beer that boosts your gout. Beer is trouble, 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 especially the yeast, the purines, the ethanol. Man, if you drink a 12 or 15% craft beer, God, you're just loading yourself up. What I typically do for my reviews is get really good beer, a 6-pack of singles. It's often $25 to $45 a 6-pack, and yes, it is worth it. I think I paid $52 for some really exotic Christmas beers the other day in a 6-pack. But now, instead of drinking them all in a day or two, I will do one a day, 2 at the most, skipping days. Seltzers and red wine are lower risk. People have talked about red wine causing gout. There's actually evidence that it doesn't. The big problem with any kind of alcohol is not just the ethanol, but the dehydration, and we'll talk more about that in a moment. The other big one is apple cider vinegar, ACV. Boy, I mean, if you look at the videos and websites and stuff, it'll cure everything from toenail fungus to brain cancer. I mean, I'm not saying it does, but that's what people claim. It does some very good things. We won't get into all of those. But gout is one of them that they're touting on it. I use it only for a flare-up or early symptoms. I believe it helps, but it's not enough. Add a little lemon for acidity and some honey for taste. Again, be careful with honey. It's full of fructose, and honey your body breaks that down, and it's not very much different than drinking soda. I hate to break the news to people, but agave syrup and honey, gotta watch that stuff. What I usually do is I'll add some powdered turmeric, the good stuff from the raw, not from the spice, to reduce the inflammation. And then I'll take a lot of apple cider vinegar, usually like an inch in a glass, 2 fingers, maybe even 3. Again, with the honey, it's very palatable, and I'll do that once a day. People say, "Oh yeah, take a tablespoon." Nah, that never worked for me. You got to take a bunch of it. Again, about 2 fingers in a cocktail glass will do that. And you can just do it like a shot. It's not that hard. And then I want to get to some basic concerns. Dehydration for me is the key factor. I've never really had a bad gout attack unless it was accompanied by dehydration. I'm sure it can happen, but in my case, it's the thing. Liquor is bad for the ethanol, but it also makes us dehydrated. It dries out those ethanol molecules, just bond water and take them out of your system. Therefore, they concentrate the uric acid, and you're not as likely to pee very much and flush it out. If your urine is medium to dark gold, at least in my case, I go on a 4 to 5 glass of water program with a vitamin C for 1 to 3 days, or until the urine is regularly pale, like a really pale straw yellow, maybe even greenish yellow, very pale. It's got to be really light, almost clear, almost water clear. And again, I combine that with the vitamin C. Uh, if you drink, a glass of scotch, maybe you're a bourbon fan, you really, what I find helps is you have a glass of water equal to the volume of the liquor you consume, and double it if you can. So if you need to drink 2 glasses of bourbon, and I don't say you think you do, have 2 to 3 glasses of water the same size, and then keep an eye on your urine color. Uh, in summary, I would ask, if you haven't ever tried it, start with the water and 1,000 milligrams of vitamin C 4 times a day. Again, repeat it until you get relief. I have never gone beyond the second day without having almost total relief. Again, it's got to be 4,000 milligrams a day. You've got to have a lot of vitamin C, and liposomal is best. I add these other pills, fruits, whatever, to improve things. And I do want to put in a word for blackberries and blueberries. They are very high in anthocyanins, like cherry juice. They do give you a little sugar, but if you just eat one of those little plastic containers, you should be good. And believe me, eating a couple handfuls of blueberries is not torture. At least not for me. It's quite delightful. And so I'll do the water and C thing. Add some turmeric, and then add some berries, and then add some ACV. I rarely get a flare up if I'm fully hydrated and my urine is pale and light yellow. Again, the hydration has a lot to do with it. By the way, if you're dehydrated and have high blood pressure, you're hurting yourself, because I don't know why it took me so many years to figure it out, but a nurse actually told me. She goes, well, when you're dehydrated, your blood is kind of thicker and syrupy. Not really syrupy, but it's thicker. And it doesn't move as fast. And so dehydration contributes to concentrating a lot of bad chemicals like uric acid, and it will tend to raise your blood pressure. So if you're a heart patient, hydration is very key on that. I say experiment to find your own miracles. Hopefully it'll be some combination of what I've talked about. Read clinical papers to understand. And most important thing is cut your carbs by 50 to 75%. I was on a diet primarily of wonderful organic fruits, whole grains. Oh my God, it was like a diet made in heaven. Well, guess what I found out? All those grains, all that fruit, all that good stuff was turning into sugar. Your body doesn't know the difference between sugar from whole grain, $4 organic mango. It's all sugar. So avoid those fruits, grains, starches, sodas, and beer to excess, and cut your carbs down. The hardest thing for me was to give up pizza. I now at the most will have one slice, and then probably never more than once a week. I used to like big bowls of pasta. Oh my God, fettuccine alfredo, and spaghetti bolognese, and sometimes a ranch pasta salad. Boy, but that stuff would ruin my week, because a big bowl of pasta will turn into sugar. That turns into uric acid. And you have a couple of pasta blasts a week. Sorry, Italians. Man, your gout's going to be at risk. And then as a last resort, get doctor steroids if the pain's extreme or it affects your ability to work, mobility, safety, and ability to earn a living. So I hope you like this. Please comment and share your stories. Sorry to be so long-winded, but I thought it was important to get to the gist of these issues and to flush them out and not be derivative of other websites. So thanks for your time.